Well, we're doing it with Mr. Dawson. So, Mr. Dawson, what college did you go to, and why did you choose that college?
I went most of my college career to University of Texas at Arlington, and I picked it because low-income family. My dad was a plumber, and I could live at home and go to that school. That was number one. Number two is I was granted it's called a co-op scholarship that I had to qualify for that paid for part of my tuition, but not all of it. So I continued to live at home, even though I was going to school out there.
That's pretty good.
And I also did that because of no money. I needed to work, so I'd go to school in the morning, come home and eat lunch, and go to Brook Hollow District of Dallas for a part-time job in the afternoon.
What did you major in, and why?
I majored in math and physics. Started off as an engineer, and why? Because at the time I graduated from high school, and I'm not going to tell you when that was, and went to school, the big push then was for people to go into engineering. We were trying to beat the Russians into space and all kinds of things like that. So all of the counselors were pushing the better students, like y'all, to go into engineering. And so that was why. But I didn't like engineering. So I modified it and just went physics, math.
Did you ever consider changing your major?
I changed it numerous times. Started in engineering, switched to physics, realized after 2 years that to do all the physics, I was going to have to do a whole lot of math, and so it was just as easy to do them both. And
So
I
did you major in math and physics? Or
Yes.
did you minor in
No, double major. Minor in history. I have enough history to teach history, and minor in Russian. 2 years of Russian.
Do you know Russian?
Not anymore. If you don't use it, you lose it. Yellow, blue, Tibet. I love it.
Oh.
I remember the key word.
Did you live on campus? Oh, no, you commuted.
No, I commuted, again, for financial reasons. And because my parents were very coddling, you know, they took care of me, and Mom was going to have lunch ready for me every day when I'd rush home and eat and then go to work.
What were the disadvantages and the advantages of commuting? Besides,
Well, it was cost saving, and that was a big concern. Also, I was closer to work rather than if I was working in Dallas and going to school at UTA. If I were living out there, that means I'd have to come into Dallas, work, and then drive back out there and that. Where I just had to drive back to Irving and have supper.
what were your concerns going into your freshman year of college, and how did you overcome them?
My concerns were just like y'all's are going to be. Am I going to make it? Am I prepared for it? And keep in mind, I was going to be a math and physics engineering major, the technical, and my first physics course I made a D in. So I realized that I was not as prepared as I thought I was. Because I'd made all A's in high school. Same shock y'all are going to have.
Well, I hope I don't
Well, we all do. Didn't happen after that, but the first semester that happened.
What subject did you have most trouble in, and what do you think that was? And why do you think that was?
Well, Miss Neville's going to love this, but my most painful subject was English. And I was, you know, again, I'd done very well in high school. I knew how to write term papers. Went to college, and it was much stricter, much pickier. In one of my sophomore English classes, I wrote what I considered a perfect paper. The teacher agreed that the paper was perfect, not a misspell. Everything was in the margins as it was supposed to be. But you used to have to do that when you had these. And I got a D on that paper because she didn't like my title. Didn't get a D in the course, but got a D on the project because she didn't like the title.
Do you remember the title?
No, but I remember her.
Was it difficult for you to manage your time wisely and keep up with your assignments?
Probably less difficult because I didn't live on campus. I didn't have all the temptations that living on campus presents. So I had a fairly structured life. No, my parents were not strict. I made good grades. I didn't have a curfew. But because I was living under their roof, I wasn't out partying and hanging out till 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning. I was home in bed because I was going to go to school the next day, meet my classes, and go to work that next afternoon, and then come home at night and study.
That's pretty structured.
I was very structured.
What did you do in your free time during college?
There wasn't much. And I'm literally saying that truthfully.
How many hours a day were you doing?
Was I awake?
Yeah.
Well, I was getting up probably around 6 to be at my first class out there by 8, about a 30-minute commute then as there is now. Getting off work and being home by around 6 and then doing homework till 1 or 2 in the morning.
You don't have around 6 hours of sleep?
No. Well, no, you don't have, I did not have around 6 hours of sleep. It was much less than that. And y'all are going to find that same thing. You're going to be shocked at how much time you have to devote to a single course.
What was your motivation there?
Just to get a good education. I wanted to get a degree. I wanted to go to graduate school. And so I was motivated to do well. And I had come out of a high school environment where that was the norm for me to be successful academically. I liked school. I'm still a teacher, so, I liked the environment. It worked for me.
What professor from college was the biggest influence on you?
Probably my Russian history teacher. History in college is not like it is in high school. In high school, it's very mundane and boring because they don't tell you the truth. There's certain topics that you don't discuss in high school because parents don't want you to have those discussions. You don't discover the real personality and the real quirks that all these authors and historical figures actually have. They're human beings and they have all the failings and shortcomings that everyone else does. And so in a college history class, all of that's brought out to make it more interesting, to make it more relevant, to make you realize that all of these characters in history are just human beings with their divorces and their affairs and their alcoholism and you name it, they all had it. They didn't all have it, but most of them did.
What from college helped you in real life?
What it did, it gave me the opportunity, and I didn't realize this until I was in the work world, if I didn't click with the job, if I didn't like it, because you have a degree that allows you to make changes relatively easy. You can knock on any door, or many more doors, if you have a college degree than if you don't. And that's more true now than it was then. So that enables you to switch careers. You might do something for 10 years and decide, I thought I would like this, but I don't. So you change careers, and if you've got that degree, that enables you to do that.
I think a lot of people nowadays think that since everybody has a college degree, that it's a lot harder to get a job even if you do have college.
That's true. It's probably to your advantage to at least go ahead and get a master's. But when you say everybody has a degree, in this country, the average is about a third of the population is degreed. So not everybody has a degree. And when you get out in the real world, much like in the halls of this high school, you'll realize that. Just because they're wearing a business suit and driving a fancy car does not mean that they're degreed.
What was your favorite part of college?
liked going to school. I kept going to school. I have 200 hours of undergraduate work. So I just really kept going because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I loved school, so I just kept going.
You weren't much of a party man.
Not while I was in college. That came later as an adult. It did. I was a good boy while I was living at home and in college.
You can like this next question then. What are your craziest and most memorable college experiences?
I plead the fifth.
What advice would you give to incoming freshmen?
To learn to manage your time. Do not overload yourself. I recommend that you take either 4 or 5 courses only. So that's going to be like 12 to 15 hours that first year in particular, until you adjust to the load and find out what's really expected of you.
That's really good. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Dawson. That's all.
Oh, thank you.